I was a little too confident in the Trevin Giles side of things, I will admit it, and I'll take it on the chin again. So we have to rip up our ticket there. Very pedestrian approach from both him and Mike Malott. I felt like Giles, could have made an argument in terms of winning that fight had he picked up the output a little bit more. Maybe he was a little bit too gun-shy due to the potential knockout threat that Mike Malott presented to him. But I really thought Giles had what it took to give Malott troubles, but it did not come to fruition there. So we have to rip up our dog of the night ticket there. I believe we lost on our ACA dog of the night, or the Cage Warriors dog of the night, but we did go 1-2 on the weekend, so slight loss there. That now brings our yearly record to 45-77 for a minus 9.58 unit deficit and a minus 8% ROI. Again, we started the year off roughly around minus 25 units in the dog of the night considerations, but luckily, we've been able to claw our way back, but still not in the black or the green. So we're going to stay busy at work trying to get back in there. Like I mentioned in the lock of the night candidates video, this is a very chalk heavy card with 10 of the 12 favorites being minus 220 or wider, which leaves a lot of juicy underdogs that could potentially cash for this card. But I believe this will be a very chalk heavy card. So if you watched my full card breakdown earlier this week, you'll be like, hey, you picked against some of these candidates. Yes, that is true. We are trying to seek value here and see where we can potentially cash some tickets, against some of the predictions. And sometimes that's the name of the game with the MMA betting world. So a reminder, there is also OKTAGON and LFA going down this weekend. I'll have those written breakdowns on the MMA, LLT, and Patreon page. So make sure you guys check the link in the description below for that. And that's where those guys also already know which of these three will be my official dog of the night play. So without further ado, let's get right into it. First candidate up is going to be Cody Stamann, coming in at plus 220 as he goes up against Damon Blackshear. Now, both these guys are on 2-fight losing streaks, but I believe the stylistic clash favors the veteran Cody Stamann here, who has a good enough wrestling game to thwart the BJJ heavy approach of Damon Blackshear, which would likely leave this fight to be a striking battle. But I wouldn't actually be surprised if Stamann looks to take this to the ground once he starts wearing Blackshear down. In the striking realm, obviously Blackshear has a little bit of a threat with the power that he possesses, but I do believe that Stamann is the better overall striker with his blitz-like attacks, his speed advantage, and his cardio advantage, which will allow him to really start to run away with this matchup in the second and third round. To get him at plus 220, I think, is a bit of a steal in this matchup, and it would be interesting to see if he's actually able to get the job done here. But at plus 220, this has got to be an auto consideration for dog of the night candidate. The second dog of the night candidate is going to be Matthew Semelsberger, coming in at plus 145, going up against Charles Radke. This is a matchup that is sure to provide some violence, and obviously Radke likely looking to take this to the ground to utilize his BJJ black belt, which he could be successful with, but he is dealing with a bigger Matthew Semelsberger, who is very physical and athletic and has landed 10 knockdowns in 10 UFC matchups. Although he's only finished 2 of those fights by knockout, I do believe he has the power striking advantage here, and he is more than capable of putting that power on Radke and putting him away. If he's able to stifle the grappling approach, which has been successful against him in the past with other opponents, he should be able to do a good enough job in terms of putting that power on Radke and eventually finding that knockout and cashing as a plus 145 underdog. The third and final dog of the night candidate is going to come in the form of Ricky Tercios, coming in at plus 285, going up against relative newcomer Bernardo Sopai. Now, Sopai made his short notice UFC debut earlier this year when he went to war against Vinicius Lockdog Oliveira in a fight that was pretty much back and forth and almost had Sopai getting his hand raised that night. But ultimately, Oliveira was able to kick it into fifth gear in the final round of that fight and end up getting the finish. Tercios will provide some unorthodox and weird looks that Sopai maybe has not seen in his young career to this point, and Tercios is always live to pull off these weird and wild card like victories. Sometimes he's ineffective like he was against Ayman Zahabi, and other times he can go out there and beat guys like Natividad the way he did last time, or 2 fights ago, I should say. And he even put up a pretty good performance against Raul Rosas Jr. So you can't completely overlook the wild card nature of Tercios' style, and having him as a big underdog in the spot against somebody that's still trying to make a name for themselves in the UFC, not a bad consideration as a dog of the night play. Which of these three do I end up going with? Again, check out the MMA LOTM Patreon page to find out. Otherwise, drop a comment below. Let me know which your dog of the night play would be for UFC Vegas 100. And I will see you guys later today for the quick picks version of the lock of the night breakdowns, or just full card breakdown for UFC Vegas 100. See you guys then. Peace.